You're now listening to the Thousand Story Podcast, presented by Thousand Story. Welcome to the Thousand Story Podcast. We are your hosts, Naji
and Luis.
And last episode, we were joined by our good friend Chloe Heavey from STEM, and we discussed how independent musicians make money from their independent releases. So today, we're continuing our conversation and delving a little deeper into Chloe's story and how she came about working for STEM, her philosophies on life, and just a bunch of other random cool stuff. So we hope you enjoyed as much as we did, and we will see you there. Got it. So, how does one get into that position? How did you get to STEM? What was the kind of progression from wherever you were to now?
Totally. So I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I always grew up around music, being in an area that, live music is huge in Atlanta. Fortunately, both my parents, neither of them play music, but love music and are what you would call hip, I would say, in terms of how parents goes, and always were introducing me to new music. Anyways, cool. I got into music. Have you guys ever seen VH1's Top 100 hip-hop songs of all time? It's like a 3-hour long show.
Yes.
Okay. I saw that when I was about 11 or 12. And at the time, like Soulja Boy and Chingy and like Jim Jones is what's like playing on the radio. So it's like, rap sucks.
Yes.
Hate it.
The Holiday Inn.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm sitting in bed and the show comes on, and I think Biz Marquis's song comes on, and I was like, whoa, what is this music? I've never heard rap music like this. Because like Soulja Boy is against my frame of reference for what rap music is at the time. Right. Long story short, I'm glued to the TV, obsessed. I find out when the episode is coming on again by looking at like the TV guide. And next time it came on, I sat down with like a piece of paper, pen, wrote down every song, artist, year it came out, and any details about the album or the artist I could find that they would tell me. Mm-hmm. And I spent, and this is so dorky, but I spent probably the next 2 years, so it's like early middle school, just taking notes on not only the artists that I had found via this show, but any type of rap artist that I could find. And it was for my pure enjoyment.
That's super awesome. I remember when I was that young and I was like getting into rap and hip hop, and I would have like a tape that I had in my little stereo, and I would wait until like my favorite track would come on, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna record this. I'd wait all day. I listened to the radio all day long just to get 50 Cent Window Shopper. Like,
bro, I feel you. I can't even remember what year was that when Window Shopper came out.
That was like early 2000s.
Like early 2000s. Yeah. I was like 2005.
I think it was like 2004,
2005. Yeah. I was being homeschooled at that time. And, you have a lot of free time when you're homeschooled. At least in my case, I did. So, the only thing that I kind of involved myself with and enveloped myself with was music. I was playing it at that time. I wasn't actually making it, but as a drummer. So that was like the only thing I did. And I was obsessed with it. I still am, but, that was like the only thing I did. But it was either drumming or listening to the radio on repeat just constantly. Yes. Like, because my mom was also a bus driver at the time. So, she would have us with her in the car, or whenever we go and pick up kids, she'd play radio music for the kids, even though like some of the stuff was a bit intense. She's like, it's all right. They'll be all right. Just don't tell anybody. But it was a really, really fun time. I remember that. Damn.
Yeah. It's like that wonder of just like learning music for the first time, or hearing like the type that you vibe with for the first time.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It is. Do you have any of those experiences? Like, what was your first, like, oh my gosh, this music thing is amazing experience? Like what, do you have any of those?
For me?
Yeah.
I think it was, so after that show, and I started doing my own discovery, do you guys remember Capital Steez in American Corruption?
I don't remember them.
Okay.
Ooh, we're learning something
Capital
new today.
Steez started Pro Era. So this was like OG Pro Era out of New York. I don't know. And I was really enthralled with him particularly.
Right.
And then there was this company called Decon Records that they were sort of a media company. And they also signed Jurassic 5 because they had a few artists, like actual rappers that they found. So for me, Pro Era and Decon Records were these entities that I was just like, I need to be in that. This is me. And mind you, I'm this like
Interesting.
young white girl who has no business resonating with rap music in any way. But I don't know why. It really spoke to me. And I was like, this matters. And the lyricism, I think, is what really grabbed me and it became an obsession, really.
Interesting. So Pro Era, Progressive Era, right? That's what it's short for.
Yeah.
So so they're a hip hop collective from Brooklyn. And Joey Badass
Oh, wow. Okay.
is in
Got it.
it. CJ Fly, Kirk Knight. Wow, that's
Got
pretty
it.
cool. That's super cool.
No.
I learned something new today.
Same. This is
Did
why
not know.
we have guests on the show.
What about you guys? Did you have a moment like that? Like a song?
Oh, gosh.
I will say this: the first album that I ever purchased with my own money, so I remember I got an iPod for Christmas, and I got like I think it was like a $10 or $15 iTunes gift card or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was staying at my grandparents' house here in Erie at the time, and they had just the shittiest, worst internet connection ever. Like it was still like dial up. It was awful. But I purchased Kanye West's Late Registration, first album I ever bought.
Oh, man.
And
That's so
it took
cool.
me like 20 hours to download the album. And I remember sitting like next to the computer just waiting for this thing. Like I would check on it like every 10 minutes because I was like, I just want to hear it. Like I just want to know what it is. I don't know. I was way into it.
I think I was really big into the LimeWire era, like when that was still a thing. Like it was like post Napster, but like in the middle of the LimeWire era. So the first time I had heard about it was from my cousin, and there was this one band that was on the MTV. It was like Hello, Hello, Goodbye, or I can't remember the name of the band.
Hello,
but
Goodbye.
Yeah.
I
Hello, Goodbye.
I think
they were named after that Beatles
I
song.
like
right.
Yeah.
So
where you are.
exactly
Near, near,
that
in my
song.
car.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that song has almost nothing to do with the story, but it was
Just a random bit of useless information.
It's useful in the sense that it was the catalytic moment where I was like, ooh, I kind of dig this song. I heard it and I wasn't really like Shazam wasn't a thing yet, but I was like, I really, really like this song. How do I find this? Like, I'm obsessed. And then my cousin had this thing called LimeWire, and then she showed me. She said, "Oh yeah, you just get this for free." And I was like, "Wait, what? Wait, no, you're joking. You can get this stuff for free?" And then at that point, when I discovered that you could download music for free, this coming from an indie artist, mind you, like just full disclosure, yes, I was a full pirater, just like 100%.
Oh, we all were.
We all were.
Before Spotify and iTunes was really doing it, we
Absolutely.
all just definitely like gave our computer viruses and all those things. Like
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but at that point, when I was like, oh, there's this entire world of unknown music, like I was just obsessed with LimeWire. And then I was like, oh my God. I just started digging for the most random stuff. So I ended up really getting into, what's the band that does the song like Barbie Girl?
Like
I have no
like the
idea.
actual Barbie Girl song?
Yeah, like that.
Like,
Like,
hello Barbie, let's go
girl.
party.
Yeah, that one. Like that.
Oh God, I
that
gotta search it
band,
up. I don't know.
I got obsessively into it. And then I started getting like
Aqua.
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 Yes. I was like hella into Aqua.
That's so
It
random.
was so random. But that's definitely one of those moments. I was like, Aqua is life, bro. Like I started going into the whole discography.
My
and it was
God.
like there were like 20 songs that I was just bumping on repeat. And then I just kept falling into just happy accidents.
That's super
I
funny.
ended up finding this one song. It was like, this is what it's like to fuck on cocaine. I was like, whoa.
What is
Whoa. I'm 12. What's happening?
Where were you on the internet? Where did you spend your time on the
I
internet,
spent
man?
my time in very dark places, but it was
4chan.
enlightening at the same time.
4chan.
Yeah, see, I wish I was on 4chan a lot, but I had a lot of friends on 4chan, so I knew of it. But 4chan kind of culture was a whole other side. I was like, okay, you guys do your thing over there. I'll be over here. But yeah, that kind of moment when I found that, a definite was like, oh, music is amazing.
Chloe, you were telling us a little bit about your family. What and how they introduced you to new music like all the time. What were they like growing up?
Sure. So my dad is this kind of dorky guy from Ireland. He's a dorky, cool dad that you would be like a cartoon character where you're like, Dad, stop dancing. But it's kind of cool that he's dancing. That's Robert Heavey. He moved here when he was 23 from Ireland to start his own business and is like very much
Congrats.
epitome
That's cool.
of the American dream.
Yeah.
Robert is very into female pop artists.
Okay.
And then
All right.
folk music and kind of indie rock.
That makes sense.
So he was very
Interesting.
about Keane. He was very about Wolfmother, Linkin Park,
Wolf Mother. Ooh.
Death
Did you say
Cab
Linkin
for
Park?
Cutie. Yeah, so all the kind of moody rock music that isn't exactly
Yes.
rock, but like rock adjacent.
Like 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. Robert was about that. And then Katy Perry and like Sia and anything that was remotely like power women, Robert is all about.
That's awesome.
Got it.
Robin.
What's Mama Hebe like? Robin?
Robin, yes. Robin is a really funny, like, obnoxious Jersey girl. And the type of Jersey girl that's like, I'm from Jersey, snap, snap. Loves 90s R&B, like Boys to Men, Aaliyah. So she's kind of like the fun one. Her ringtone, once ringtones became a thing, was Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. I already love Robin.
That song's a jam.
Yeah.
That song is a jam.
It's a bop.
It's about. So that was, she kind of gave like the R&B hip hop vibes. Dad was like the sad boy alt vibes and sometimes female empowerment.
Got it.
Awesome. Well, who are some of your favorite all-time artists?
Ooh, wow.
I know that's tough. It's hard to just, it's hard.
Yeah, you're putting me on the spot here. I think favorite all-time artist. I don't think I have favorite artists. I have favorite albums that mean a lot to me that are
I feel
Okay.
you.
random.
I feel that.
One is Lily Allen's All Right Still.
Hey,
That was a great album.
that has one of my favorite songs on it. Littlest Things. That
Dude, Littlest Things is my
is
favorite track
my
of hers.
jam.
Because I know, Fuck You is like a great,
Right,
yeah,
like
that was a
everybody
great
knows
song.
it.
Everybody knows it. But Littlest Things is just,
That is.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I went through many a breakup with that song.
Oh.
But like many an induced breakup, like I was the one breaking up with them, but I was like, here's some consolation. Here's Lily
you go.
Allen, which is
let me
terrible.
cry to this. Because you have that song and then you have Fuck You. Like,
Right. It was just like a nice little roundabout catharsis. Who else is on your list?
Next was John Legend. Once again.
Once again.
Okay.
Was that before the one with Ordinary People on it? Was that
Yes.
after?
Let me see. It
Was
was
it
this one
before?
was released in 2006.
Got it.
okay.
Okay.
That OG John Legend.
That pre John Legend.
Pre John Legend.
And then what other? And this one's kind of embarrassing. So
That's the
don't
best
hate
stuff.
me.
That's the best.
But have you ever seen the movie Take the Lead with Antonio Banderas?
Oh, I
Okay.
remember that movie. I have
Okay.
that movie. That's a good movie.
That's a good movie.
I like that
And
movie.
also, Antonio Banderas is amazing.
Yeah, there is
He
no
is
shame
amazing.
in-
I would like
Yeah.
a poster
That
of
guy
his
is
face.
incredible.
I could say that. I respect that decision.
But the soundtrack from that movie is very important to me.
Got it.
And I'm sure there's lots of other albums that I could think of, but those are the three that feel really important and are at the forefront of my mind. So I'm going to just stop there before I, go off.
I totally feel you on that movie album, though, the movie soundtrack album, because I had Bad Boys 2.
Hey, that was a classic.
That was a
right there.
classic album.
When Air
Yeah.
Force Ones came out?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was like my summer.
Because they had
whatever year
Mystical.
that came out.
Mystical was on that album.
Man, a lot of people were on that album.
yourself. Yeah, that dude was crazy.
It was good.
That was crazy. It was awesome.
I was going to say, for a movie soundtrack myself, I think Surprisingly, it'd be Meet the Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons?
Meet the Robinsons is probably one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time. Not because, well, I mean, obviously the composition, like I can't remember who did the score. It was either Hans Zimmerman or John, what's his face?
John Williams?
John Williams, thank you. But it wasn't even that. It was a lot of
It was Danny Elfman. It was either of them.
But that album had like two or three tracks on it that were just, I had on repeat as a kid. Like there was this one song, it was Where's Your Heart At from, what is the guy's name? Where is your heart at? I'm looking it up right now. Oh, Jamie Cullum. That's his name. All right. Where is Your Heart At? Jamie Cullum was one of my favorite songs off of that record. Like, I don't know if it came from that album or if he just made it separately and they like put it on there. But
there's a lot of good movies that have like really, really great soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Megamind was also another really good one.
Yeah. Garden State was a good one.
Garden State.
All the songs from Garden State. Chloe, do you know that? Have you seen that movie at all?
Nope.
I've never watched the movie, but I know the soundtrack.
Interesting.
Because it's got like 07 in it.
07. Who's 07?
They have that song In the Waiting Line.
Nope.
I don't know them.
It's very like chill hop.
Chill hop.
Yeah.
The chillest of hop.
The chillest of hops. Like I used to fall asleep to them. Like they're super good. I like them a lot. Check them out.
Okay.
Yes, do. So another question about your middle school years. I was telling Louise a little while ago. Like you kind of remind me a lot of myself in that you were quirky and just very direct, like just to the point. Just like this is what it is. I don't know what to tell you, but this is how I'm feeling. You're gonna have to take a look at it. And I love that. That is beautiful. But I formed that kind of part of myself for that aspect of my personality around my middle school years because I was homeschooled. So I had that time to just soak in myself and figure out what I was doing instead of having 12-year-olds be like, you should do this. Also watch porn all the time. Like it was a very formative period of my life. So where do you feel like your personality kind of just started to take hold and you started to become Chloe, the Chloe that you are now?
Oh, such an interesting question. So I did not have friends at like a massive level until the 8th grade. And
wow. Okay.
3 very important things happened the summer before 8th grade. Chloe got her braces off.
That's a big step.
That's
a big step.
Grew boobs. And like 3 or 4 inches. So became like significantly skinnier. So there was just like a great concoction of aesthetic changes for me between 7th and 8th grade. And my mom was just like, yo, like you don't have sleepovers. And I think that's kind of weird. And I was like, oh, all right. And like and honestly, the idea of not having friends had never occurred to me. I had like the one girl that I hung out with named Ashley sometimes. And like I was chilling. And I was like, all right, 8th grade, we're entering a new year. We've got boobs. Let's do this. So I'd say the personality was formed. It just wasn't like tested until then.
Right.
And 8th grade was probably, I don't want to say it's my peak, but it was a great year.
I would be really concerned if that were your peak.
I hope it wasn't. I don't think it is. Judging by what you're doing, I definitely don't think it is.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think 8th grade was the peak. I think it was like, okay, there are like several peaks that you go through a lifetime, right? Like,
some people peak hard though.
They do peak hard. They do peak really hard.
I don't want to say athletes. I feel really bad saying that. I don't want to try to alienate people. I'm just saying, y'all made me feel bad.
Do you feel like you've gone through another one since then? Or like, are you just been consistent?
Oh,
like
100%.
8th grade Chloe is...
No. I think I went through a very angsty phase, like end of high school of, I know what I want to do with my life. I have it figured out. At the time, I was living on my own. And so I was very independent and thought I had all the answers. What time is this was 17, 18. So end of junior and senior year of high school, I was living by myself and was very headstrong and like, I am going to leave for LA and I'm going to run the music business. no one can stop me. I'm lighting things on fire. And I would say that personality was so aggressive and extended throughout the college period for the first 2 years, where I was very gung-ho about career success and doing all the internships and the kid in class that asks all the questions and everyone like kind of respects but secretly thinks is the worst.
Okay. So
Yes.
you're one of the... No.
I think in retrospect, looking back on it, I was kind of annoying.
What did you study in college, if you don't mind me asking?
Music industry.
Okay.
Oh, it works out.
Yeah.
Got it.
The VH1 moment for me was actually a big, like, I decided I wanted to work in music that day. And it just never...
That's a huge moment.
Yeah, it never went away from me. It just got increasingly more intense as I got older. But yeah, so that the last personality change happened at the end of college after tons of internships, doing A&R stuff and management and, I don't know, a bunch of different things, and being very gung-ho. And I had this existential crisis where I realized I didn't think that I wanted to work in music anymore. And
really?
Yes.
Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I realized that LA and the scene of music, like the scene of the industry, was not what I had thought it was going to be.
Right.
Interesting.
And I
It
felt...
was a very disillusioning time, I guess.
Yeah, it was. And I also felt like working in the industry, I had to pretend to be someone that I wasn't. And when I reflected upon like my behavior throughout college, I was like, dude, I've been stunting so hard for the last 2.5 years. And like, I still don't, I've had all the internships, I have the job offers, but I didn't feel happy.
Okay.
And someone...
We talk about this.
We definitely had this conversation.
Yeah. And someone very close to me pulled me aside and they're like, when you describe yourself, you list off your resume and that's not who you are. Who are you? And I'd never been asked that question. So that was a big moment at the end of college where I was like, oh, your identity and what you do for a living are two separate things. Who would have thought? So yeah, senior year of college was like, I put a big hold on all things career, all things success, all things music, and asked myself the who are you questions for the first time.
For the first time. Interesting that you had those questions that, not late, obviously it's not late, but like that far, I guess, into your life that you wouldn't even... I mean, it's not like that's a bad thing, but it's just wow. It's funny how that doesn't occur to most of us to just ask that question until we've gone through it.
Yeah, I definitely had some experiences in college that caused me to question those certain things as well.
Right.
And yeah, no, it's true though, because you do notice, and I don't know if it was the same for you, Chloe, but you notice how many people really don't stop and ask themselves that, who don't stop to really think about who they are in this world, and who they are to themselves and what that even means. They're so willing to give up their time and their energy into something that they don't really believe in.
Exactly.
So kind of diving into the next question here, you kind of expressed to me that you're a somewhat spiritual person. I wouldn't say, I don't know to what extent that is, but that you are a spiritual person. So what kind of caused you to, has that always been an aspect of your life, or is that something that even in more recent time has been a change?
No, so it was not a part of my life. I was raised almost anti-religious. So both my parents felt very strongly anti-religion, anti-organized religion, and was brought up with a rhetoric of religion is not a good thing.
Interesting. Because your dad is Irish, so.
Yeah, he was Roman Catholic and was raised that way, but had negative experiences with it and kind of let go of the religion once he moved to the United States. Got it. But spirituality didn't enter my life in a big way until that same time in college, where I was asking myself, who am I? Where are my priorities? What's my purpose? Like the big questions.
Right.
And I started meditating, like everyone that moves to California begins to do. Very cliche, but I don't know. For me, it's quote unquote worked. And meditation became a very powerful thing for me. I went to Yosemite for a week by myself with no phone, no drugs, nothing like that. And it was just kind of solitude rather, for 7 days.
Yes.
And for me, I don't know exactly how to describe it other than I felt a presence. It's very hard to describe to someone who hasn't gone through that same experience. Like, I don't think you find spirituality. I very much believe that it finds you, and you can't introduce people to it. You have to have that moment. And for me, there was that moment happened then where it's like, oh, wow, there's definitely something more to all of this.
Right.
And once I came back from Yosemite, I continued meditating, and it really changed my life in terms of being able to pick up on just different interpersonal things. So I would be able to pick up on when people in the office were feeling a certain way, and I would typically know why they felt that way, or I would have some sort of inclination of what the subject was. Weird stuff like that, of being very perceptive. And it's enabled me to help others. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. This is very cool. I feel like I need to dive into this and find purpose with this, help people. I need a community of individuals around me that can open this up and provide a little bit more explanation and structure. I knew I didn't believe in religion because I believed in that feeling that I had when I was in Yosemite, like that connection. And I wanted it to be my own. I found this place in Culver City. It's called Agape, and it's a non-denominational spiritual gathering, I would say is the best word for it. It's a group of people that come together to talk about not God in the terms of like the biblical God or a God that's on paper, but God in the sense of whatever you perceive God to be, and really just the connection between people and energy and how to put forth the best energy into the world, those kind of things. So I do that.
That is part of, that is the meaning of agape, though, right? In the Greek,
I think that's the literal. There's
Greek
like different
term,
types of love, and agape is one of those.
Agape,
types of love.
yeah. That's the charitable love, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that is incredibly insightful. Thank you for sharing that. And the reason why I ask you all of that is because, you know, the whole kind of point for us to have you on the show in the first place is not just because you're part of the music industry, but because you're also, in your own sense, you know, a creative, a 20-something person trying to figure out what's going on and how you're going to accomplish that, and just living kind of wholesomely and healthfully at the same time. And we don't really have much of a reference point as 20-something creatives to what that looks like, because we're all trying to, you know, we're all kind of experimenting.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that, you know, there are ways to kind of have a groundedness about yourself and kind of have this, what I like to call the doobie-doobie-doo mentality, where you do, but then you be and reflect and actually cause yourself to grow from that reflection. So thank you for that. You know, it's good to know that kind of exists, especially in a place like the music industry where, you know, we're trying to change the standard and bring in more genuine nature and people who actually care about, you know, humans or people or artists, you know. So we appreciate you for that. We appreciate your personality.
Oh, I appreciate you.
Well, this has been a wild journey. This has been very informative, very educational, very, very relieving, and very insightful. You know, so thank you so much, Chloe, for being here to talk about it. Just talk about life and talk about what you're doing.
Thank you for having me on and for being patient with my haphazard storytelling.
Oh no, we are fans. We are like strictly limited to haphazardry. So we love it. It's all good. So where can we find you online? Where can we find what you're up to? Where's Chloe's internet presence?
Chloe's internet presence is at Chloe Money, Chloe Problems on Instagram.
How do you spell that? So they know.
CLO Money.
Money.
CLO Problems.
Beautiful.
All one word.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm on there. I do Instagram stories that are kind of obnoxious, but in a fun way. So that's just something to look forward to. Also quite haphazard.
Oh, I know. Like I said, I'm a regular imbiber, so I'm aware.
Where can we find you guys?
You can find us at, me, on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Naji Boy. That's MrNajiBoy.
And I go under at El Pontillo. That's LPONTILLO on Instagram. And then my Twitter is at Luis Pontillo. It's LUISPONTILLO. Someone took at El Pontillo on Twitter, and they don't even use the account.
I'd be pissed. I would be pissed.
I'm so mad. Like, I'm trying to reach out to this person. I'm so mad about it.
If you're listening, we're coming for you.
Like,
we're coming for you,
I took this
bro.
picture when we went to the Smino show in Toronto.
Yeah.
I took the picture of Smino, and I had it on my Instagram, and he put it on Twitter, and he tagged the other dude.
Bro!
And I was just like, dude, no. This dude, I don't even know where he lives, but he's just out here getting credit.
For no reason. He don't know Smino.
Damn.
Oh, gosh. Well, it's been a blast. Thank you so much again. And feel free to come back at any point and chat with us, just in case you have any new ideas or just want to share more haphazardry, because we love it.
It was awesome to meet you, Chloe.
Sending you guys hugs with my brain.
Well, that's it for this episode. So join us next episode where we'll be talking about building the dream team.
Building the dream team.
Jordan. No.
Larry Bird.
Gucci gang.